You're listening to the Where We Fit podcast, a podcast that shines a light on the unique paths and voices in the marketing and communication industry, brought to you by the CCNY AAF student chapter. I'm one of your co-hosts, Frederick Knapp. I, in addition to this, host my own podcast, The Afternoon Nap, where we do film and television. And I'm here with my co-host, Hazari.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Hazari Wren Glover, and I'm a senior here at CCNY in the BFA program. And today, we've got a fantastic podcast with our student leaders, starting with Dakota.
Hi, I'm Dakota Medina. I'm the secretary of the CCNY AAF student chapter.
My name is Monique, and I am, well, I should say my full name, right? Monique Carchi. I am the president of the AAF student chapter. I also am the producer of the Where We Fit podcast, and this is my first episode as a guest, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah!
And last but not least,
hi guys, I'm Pravita Sunar. I'm the treasurer of the AAF club. I am a senior graduating in spring, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
absolute pleasure.
So before we get into our, all of our questions and stuff, I've been involved with this podcast for a while, but I haven't actually met any of you. And much like a lot of the people that are listening to the podcast. So if you guys would like you to spend a little bit of time telling us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to be involved with the podcast and the AAF program.
Well, to be fair, we haven't met each other either, so.
Yeah, I haven't met.
Well, then just talk about yourselves and how you did in this program.
Like why we wanted to get involved with AAF or the podcast?
Yeah. Well,
both
bit of
AAF
both,
and then the podcast, yeah.
Well, I think they both kind of started at the same time, right, guys? Like, the club was suspended for like 5 years. Like, it was inactive for a really long time. And then Professor Garcia, who was a CCNY student himself back in the day, not that back in the day, but back in the day.
I was gonna say, you're calling them old?
Shots fired. All right.
Cut that out. He was the
we keeping that one in.
Well, yeah, no, but he was the vice president of AAF when he was a student. And AAF back then was kind of like one of the top pillars of the APR program. And I think like now as a professor, he wanted to bring that back. So it actually started with a generation before us where like right before the pandemic was gathering all these people and we're like, oh, like join us for AAF. And they were like, yeah, sure. And then when the pandemic hit, it was kind of just like all of their plans just got cut off. But that never stopped them. They still were able to launch a podcast and to, act as a club, even unofficially, during the height of the pandemic. And then finally, last year, it was our generation, me, Dakota, Pravita, and Francini. We all came on board. It was like a really small, unofficial club, maybe like about 6 active members. And I remember I just transferred to CCNY, and I heard from Francini. She texted one of our like school group chat and was like, oh, check out the AAF. Like, we're running a podcast. And I had heard about the AAF through like the new majors orientation. So I was like, ooh, a podcast. At the time, like I was trying to launch my own podcast. I was already interested and I had the skills for it. So I was like, yeah, let me check this out. And they had a presentation about how they wanted to do the podcast and they had really great ideas. But to me, it didn't really seem like they had any of the production skills to actually get it up off the ground. So that's kind of where I came out of nowhere and was like, hey, I am a film major. I know how to do like editing and I know how to like produce. Let me run your podcast. And they were like, great. And so I really kind of stepped in and took over and made it like our own. And it was a collaborative effort. Like it really was built by just the minimal efforts of so many people. And so now we're on our 3rd season and it's crazy to see how like we're entering our senior year and we're about to step off this project and it's about to be taken over by you guys, like new people. And I just hope that like, it grows into something beyond us. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. So I kind of like stumbled upon AAF. So in high school, I was like a theater geek. I was a heavy theater geek, okay? I was always in like every production. I was in choir for all 4 years. Like I did it all. So when I had first gotten to CCNY, I had declared as an audio engineer major because I love music and stuff. But sometime like pre-pandemic, I was like, you know what? I could do this on my own time. And then as I was switching over to add PR, it was this semester last fall that I had applied and I had gotten in, and then I had found AAF. I think it was because of the new majors orientation that's how I found out. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is great. I love clubs. So I joined, and they had like, you guys had the spot for like the sound designer. And I was like, this is going to be so fun. Like, this is my first like real project outside of like classwork and stuff, or just like personal projects. So it was definitely something that I quite enjoyed, like being able to join a club where I had the creative freedom to do kind of like what I liked to do. And then from there, I was just like picking up on different roles. I got to meet so many great people, including Monique and Pravita. And it's definitely something that has helped me like land internships and stuff. But yeah, I quite enjoyed my time here. And I love to see the growth that the club has gone through.
Your stories sound fantastic. I know Monique's story a little bit more because we were friends, but, well, we still are, I guess. But it's
up until
really
this point.
Nice. Up until this point, yeah.
Are you picking up with me? Like,
look, Monique, I'm sorry I had to do this live, but it's been cool. It's been real. But listening to both of your stories, Dakota and Pravita, like, that's kind of how I started as well. Except Monique was kind of like, hey, we need this, and just like cherry picked me out for a hot second, and now I'm here. And it's been a great experience getting to know everybody, getting to be a part of this community. It's been a lot of fun. Being a part of this community, however, and being in this role has been something interesting for me and has taught me a lot. So in that respect, I would love to know from the three of you how this role, or the many roles and hats that you've worn in this club, how that has been beneficial to your futures, to your careers, and if, like Dakota said, if any of this has been able to land you any jobs or internships directly from this club. And we'll go in reverse order, starting with Dakota.
Okay, cool. So as I had said before, so I started off as a sound designer, which is something that, because I'm gonna be working in the music industry, that'll of course be a huge help. Like if I wanted to work at like a record label, or as like a audio producer or something, or just to like make my own music. So after kind of dabbling in that, after that I was a PR strategist for a little bit, but then realized I didn't like PR. So I was like, all right, let me switch it over again. And I stepped this past summer, I was in the marketing committee. I was an intern for Shreyas R. Dixit Memorial Foundation, which is a foundation that is based on like safe driving techniques and just getting it out there that, like, you know, don't text and drive. Like, there's so many distractions. So I started off as like their social media kind of strategist, one of many. And I used to create posts, like, you know, for like safe driving awareness and everything. And then from there, because I had the podcast experience on my resume, somebody that was like in the higher up came up to me and was like, hey, we noticed that you kind of have dabbled in this and we have a podcast of our own. So they were like, hey, you kind of want to like spearhead this operation for the remaining time that you were here? And I was like, okay, cool. That's great. I'm down for anything. So I ended up working with somebody else. He was awesome. He was like a freshman in high school, but his like work ethic was insane. And we co-hosted, co-produced, and co-wrote like everything. We would have like meetings 2 to 3 times, 4 times a week, and then we would record every Monday. And it's so random because it has nothing to do with the music industry. But, you know, outside of that, it's definitely helped me now because I just recently got accepted into Grammy U, which is a part of the Recording Academy.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
congrats!
Have a round of applause.
Yes, thank you. And then so I went to an industry insight meeting yesterday, and we got to talk to Jonathan Gold, which works for Beggars Group, which is like a parent company of like Matador and a ton of other record labels. So he was basically kind of saying, like, he had mentioned that when, especially in the music industry, when you have experience from like here and there and like different places, even if it differs, it's really interesting because you get that outside input outside of the industry that you work in. So it's just like, it's super helpful. Like, even if it's something you get accepted into an internship that has nothing to do with what you want to do, I just suggest like taking that opportunity, because you pick up on skills that you're probably going to need like 10 years from now or like 5 days from now, you know? So yeah, I'm super glad that the club has really like helped me kind of grow and achieve success.
And Monique.
I feel like for me, I had like kind of a different perspective in it, because last couple of months ago, I think in February, was when we all got elected into e-board positions. And so from the very start, I had like this weight of responsibility like thrown onto me, and I did not realize at the time how much time and work it would take, because it wasn't like I was just stepping into some established club. I was building it from like the ground back up. All of us were building it. But there's like a different expectation, I think, that the role of the president has that like I didn't realize at the time when I stepped into it. I took on the role of president, like I was like unanimously, nobody else was running for it. I didn't even like offer
You
to
killed
do
all
it.
your competition?
So
They
yeah, I
kinda
was gonna
just,
say,
like-
did you just bury them in the ground? Nobody heard
This,
of them?
Nobody
this
else
sounds
wanted
very
it.
Putin-esque.
Yeah, you know, it's
Nobody
it's a little
else
dark.
wanted it. They kind of like elected me without my say. I was just kind of like, all right. And so,
Like
but I
reverse
took it
Nero.
because there was a lot that I wanted to do. Like I felt like this was a really great platform, and the people seemed really ambitious and really talented. And I just
What position did you want? Because it sounds like you didn't want the presidency. Like, did you want a vice? Did you want a position on the e-board?
I think I did want a position on the e-board. I just and I think I was honored to become president. It wasn't like I didn't want it. It was more just like there was nobody else for the job, I felt like. So it was one of those things where I was hard for me to say no to. But it wasn't like I didn't want it either. So, you know, when I got into it, it was great. And then I think
there was somebody else available, like in the running, would you have backed out?
Maybe, because when the first season of the podcast, when I first jumped on, it was really hard because, like I said, we were really small. We didn't really have a lot of people. So I was almost like, it felt like I was single-handedly running the podcast on my own. Like I was hosting it, I was editing, I was producing it. I had one other producer that was helping me, but he was a senior. So he was really preoccupied with, you know, graduating. And so it felt, there was at one point where like, honestly, I kind of just broke down and was like, this is too much like work and expectations for me. And like, I can't do this. I'm going to quit after this semester. And then I got elected into president. So it suddenly became like, I can't necessarily leave just whenever I want to. I'm kind of rooted here. And so, and I know I'm making it sound like I don't want to be a part of this, but that's not true. Like I had grown to really love like being president. I think especially when we first got into our roles, I had to learn how to like suddenly be a leader. And like I knew how to be a leader because I've done leadership positions before, but it was difficult to manage like, because I'm not just like the president of this club. I'm a double major. Like I take 6 to 7 classes per semester. I have two demanding. Yeah, I have 2 demanding majors: the film program and the ad PR program. And I work when I'm not at school, and I just, you know, my focus is split in a lot of different directions. So it was really hard, I think, to balance everything. But it suddenly like became like I was the person that everybody came to when they needed something. So that felt like a lot of pressure for me. But I think like there's also like this downfall in it, because I think a lot of people see it and they see what I've accomplished in the club and what I've accomplished in the program, and they're like, you're you have everything that like people are maybe like they want, like, you know what I mean? Like I have all the successes that I think people on the outside seek after. But the hardest part about it was that I didn't really have time for like myself or like my personal projects. Like I still have yet to have my first internship, and I'm about to graduate next semester. You know what I mean? Because I just haven't had the time to like go out there and apply for stuff and really work those jobs. So it's almost like it's a double-edged sword in a way, you know, like it's gotten me like really up the social ladder, I guess. Like I really was able to add a lot of things to my resume. It looks super impressive. I was able to meet a lot of great industry professionals, and I was able to develop a lot of different skills and just work on things like time management, delegating, things like that. But it's just, I think now that I'm about to graduate, I had this conversation with like Dakota and Francini where it's like I think it's time to like move on and just focus on like the next steps and secure that first internship and hopefully work for like a top agency, because I feel like now it's at this point where I've developed these skills and I'm thankful for it, and I've created a platform I think that other people can come into and build themselves at, and I'm proud of that. But now I get to step away and be like, it's my turn, you know?
So as Monique mentioned earlier, our club wasn't official until like this semester. So to be honest, as a treasurer, I really like my role wasn't played into as a treasurer until this semester, and I didn't know what it entailed or like the process with CUNY, especially it being remote. So I really just learned that this semester. But just being part of the club and then like just being, even though like I wasn't as active my first 2 semesters because I had other things going on, but even in my interview when I first got my first internship, just being a member actually really helped me because it showed that like I had something, even though my role didn't entail that much. So, and just like having, like being part of this club, I feel like I really had like the real life agency experience. So I was able to actually transfer that in my work. So, and sometimes I find myself like talking professionally, I guess, or like being really detail oriented. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Sound great.
I can hear you just fine.
So yeah, like being like detailing oriented and being able to take that on my role as a digital marketing intern, I really have to say that it was because of this club.
So next, I kind of wanted to talk about, teamwork. You guys are all in different positions, but, some people I know like to work by themselves, but you can't in this kind of environment. It's all about teamwork. So how do you guys work together, and also how do you guys deal with conflict?
As a team, to be honest, I really like working in a team, and I didn't know what working as a team was until this program, and then I joined this club my first year of the program. So I think that like it really helped me to communicate and like just like be out there, because to be honest, I'm a really shy person. Like I don't talk unless I'm being talked to, you know what I mean? So I think it really helped me get out of my shell and like just like working as professionally. I swear, like Monique and Francini and Dakota, like I had never known anyone in our age group that was so professional and was able to like take out any task and delegate them like you were a real professional.
Okay, don't gas up Monique too much. It's gonna go to her head.
Because and then yeah, as far as conflict goes, I think it's because like my role has really been like small and I haven't been as active in like the creative side. I haven't run into any conflict yet, except for the CCNY, like the actual budget people. I ran into conflicts with them, but not you guys.
Tell us more.
So with them, I think it really like they really test your patience. You really need to like have patience with them and then actually be assertive, which is not a big important skill of mine. So I think it taught me how to like go out there and then like be just like even though it was like through emails and stuff, like be really like word my emails correctly to make them show that this is what I want and I want it done now. You know what I mean?
Can you give us an example?
Pravita!
An example would be like, okay, so I don't want to name anyone because it's
No,
a
obviously.
club.
That's okay, you know.
I feel
We'll beep
like
it out.
the whole like board when it comes to budget, the CCNY board, it's really messed up and not organized at all. Like I think it's because it's remote and like they're dealing with a lot of people. I don't think they have their communications team really like organized. So I was getting like two different answers, which was like a paradox. So I had to go back and forth and fight with them. Like, you told me to do this, but now you're telling me to do that, which is the exact opposite of what you told me to do last week. So it was just like really frustrating, and like I had to be like aggressive and be kind of like a lawyer, like quoting like what they said, and then like, this is what you said and this is what I did, but now you're telling me to do completely opposite, so I don't know what to do anymore. So yeah, I think it definitely built up my, I think like inner, I don't know, like assertiveness or something that I didn't have before.
Okay, so it's actually funny because we're talking about teamwork and like team building skills in our classes right now. And I said that teamwork, like in my class, I was saying that teamwork is kind of something that I like more. Like I love having individual work where you can do your own thing and not have to be like, hey, can this like be submitted? But I love like working with this team. I don't think I've ever had any conflicts aside from like scheduling conflicts, but with classes and stuff, like, oh, I can't do this today. But like serious conflicts, like no. And I think that's the best part about it, is because like, let's say like we have an overload of work and it's evenly distributed against like every single person in the club. And then, you know, what you can do, I'll take on, or like what I can do, someone else will take on. And I think it's so important that there's like that team balance, because, and then, you know, creating those relationships outside of your work with that person, like with those people, with your teammates, like, like I'll like do work and stuff like that. And then I'll text like Pravita, like, this class schedule's got me like effed up. Like, what is going on? But I think that's like one of the things that I enjoyed the most about the club, and especially about the e-board, is that you can go to them for professional help, like with the club and with the podcast, or you can just go to them for help in general. Like whether it's like personal stuff, class problems, school problems. And I just love working in teams. Like if I need something edited, I'll be like, hey, Monique, be like, can you scan this over for me real quick? Sorry. Also, like,
and now you can send your Instagram photos and videos to Monique for, you know, that little bit of
right. But yeah, and then I feel like I learn more when you're in a team. It's just like when you're working by yourself, there's not much that you can do outside of your own talents and skills. When you're working with the team, you pick up on things that other people are really good at, or you pick up on things like, oh, I shouldn't do that. Like that's bad. But yeah, I really love working in teams more so than individual work. It's just, it's a better environment for me. Like you have that balance and you feel more at ease, like with yourself and with what you do.
I feel like I have a different perspective on it, because I used to be the kind of person that was like, if I want things done right, I got to do it myself. Like that's how I was. Like I think when I first met you, Azari, and then
that's the energy you've always given me. That's the energy I've always got from you.
Well, I will say
Monique
that
was,
like
scary.
You're getting the best version of me now. I promise
you are. Y'all didn't see Monique during her refinement era.
Ooh, that sounds like some scary stuff, right?
It was.
I was pretty terrifying, to be honest. As like, because you know, me and Hazari, we met a few years ago in our last school. I was studying video technology, where like we ran live productions, and it's very similar to this actually, which is where I get my background from. Where you know you have like a certain amount of time, and it's like that's it. There's no leeway with that. So, and it was the nature of that program is like anybody could be in that program. You didn't have to get like accepted or anything. So sometimes it just felt really frustrating when you're really passionate about something and you're giving like 110% of your energy into it, and you're surrounded by people who maybe aren't giving it the same kind of like dedication for it. So ultimately, like, it was through that experience though where I had learned like how like you should run a team, like to be in a leadership position. And like ultimately, especially it became more refined when I joined AAF, because ultimately, that's not ever how you want to operate. Like, there's no like such thing as a one-man team. Like, none of this that we've done here at the club would have been possible if it wasn't for each and every one of us. Like, we all have our roles here, and there is so much value in each and everything that each of us do that keeps this ship going.
Something that also is important as part of building teams and being a team member are the relationships that you create between your members and between yourselves and your members. So I wanted to ask the question about the relationships that you've built within this club with the e-board members, Pravita, with the people handling the money. Do you see yourselves like maintaining these relationships at all, like post-graduation, during your career?
As far as the team goes, the e-board team goes, when I first came in, I felt very welcome. Like, I did not know what like a leadership position would be like. I didn't really know what a treasurer entailed. But by Monique and Francini and Dakota, like, I didn't really know them either, like outside of the club or like just as like a club member. But I felt so welcomed, and like I felt like I could be myself. So yeah, I definitely see maintaining that relationship after post graduation. I just wish that like we got to meet in person, because I think we've been like together for what, like a year and a half. So I feel like we've known so much of each other without like even seeing face to face.
No, yeah, definitely. I've always used to say, because I think like I can see that Dakota and Pravita are a lot closer. We're all pretty close, but they speak every day. It's the same thing with me and Francini. We speak every fucking day. Like, this girl is in my dreams. You know what I mean? Like,
whoa.
I
I know this is like an R-rated podcast, but like, damn. Whew.
No, that just shows how much I work. Like, I hear her telling me something I gotta do.
She's just always on your mind. I understand.
Always on the mind.
I've always said that, like, no matter where I go, I'm taking Francini with me, because like I promise you, this club would not have been as successful as it is if it wasn't for Francini. Like, I may have been running the podcast. I'm talking about like in the first semester.
It's okay. We just it's okay.
No, we get it. We get it. Yeah. It's all good.
Just throw us aside. It's okay.
Francini. Like, I know Francini's not here right now, but I'm gonna speak for her. So our first semester, like I said, everybody was senior level. They were all graduating, so nobody was really around to help out with the podcast as much. So it was really just like me, Francini, and Eggy at one point, just like running the podcast. And me and Eggy were Eggy. He was the creator. You've never met him, but he's the OG.
Wait, is that his actual name, or
his actual name is
Edgar, but he goes by Eggy.
I love it. I love him already.
Yeah,
he's great.
So he's great, but obviously, like I said, he was graduating. So, and I had my hands full with the podcast. So, there was a lot of other things regarding the club that like needed like someone to work on. And Francini was first semester taking the intro classes, but she stepped up. She ran that whole like Instagram by herself. She made those posts, she launched them, she like did guest communication outreach, she like templated all of those emails. Like, she was the one who was really running the shit, you know what I mean? And so like when it came time to like nominate the new e-board, I was the first person to be like, Francini needs to be an e-board member. Like, beyond anything, she's amazing. So yeah, most definitely, like, I would love to, continue these relationships with, especially like with Francini, and also Victor. Like, Victor is not an official e-board member, but he basically is like the 5th e-board member, because he stepped up. He was on the production team last semester, and now he runs the creative team.
I only spent my because my second semester freshman year was when COVID hit, and I was just like, okay, great, we're online. So I only spent 1 semester on campus, like in person, and I was lucky enough to have gone to like had all my classes with somebody that's like my best friend from high school. So we were in every single class together. So I was just like, okay, cool. But like I'm the social one in the friend group. So anytime I made friends with people, I would always include it with like all of us together. So I was like, okay, cool. Like this is great. But it is cliquey. Like there's certain groups of people that I guess because like if you've known someone for a long time or you just don't like talking to people, like everybody's already grouped up. So it was weird. But because like when my friend had left and I joined AAF, it was just like, okay, cool. Like this is my like friend group now. Like I don't have to worry about socializing outside of the club because you're already meeting people from different areas in their field and stuff like that, like film majors. You've got everything, like marketing. I'm a theater major, not a major, minor, but you know, like it's so easy. Like everything is easy with us when it comes to making friends within the club and talking to people, whether it be about professional stuff or personal stuff. But it's like, okay, cool. Like I can text, like I text Pravita like all the time. I'll be like, Pravita, like, what was that test just now? You know, like, but and then like I was texting Francini, I think like yesterday or the past like 2 days, and I was just like, okay, cool. Like we were talking about like her graduating and everything, and it kind of like made me realize I was like, oh my god, my friends are leaving me. But that's not really the case, you know, because we're gonna stay in contact hopefully for like the rest of our lives, you know, during our career, after our career, like whatever we do. So I am definitely excited to see what happens like post graduation and stuff.
So in closing, a last question I want to ask is with the year coming to a close, with your time with the club and everything, do you have anything you want to reflect on and share the information out to the populace?
You know, we would have meetings like EE boards or me and Francini and Victor or like the production team. We'd had meetings for like 2 hours and like we always got work done, but it was just like it was funny because, you know, we would just crack jokes and that was the extent of like our interaction, I feel like. But it was always fun because again, it was with great people and we were creating stuff. And I think it's now like pretty like surreal because we're now in the position where like next semester we're going to be doing the elections for the new e-board, and all of us are going to be working on handing over to like the new people, and so a new generation is going to step in, and it's just like kind of surreal to realize like we're graduating, so our journeys are coming to an end here at the AAF, and we're hoping obviously that it's going to be great regardless of whether we're there or not. And just kind of like looking back that our time together was really short when you think about it, but like through this journey I was able to like really build myself professionally, but also I gained a community. I gained like the opportunity to create something and have something to show for with like really ambitious people. I brag about this all the time to the film majors, but I'm like the APR people are like elites. They are like, I'm like, they're on a different level. I've never met a group of people that are the most ambitious and like go-getters. Like they're hungry. They chase after what they want and they put in the work for it too. And they're talented and resourceful. Like I am so endlessly proud to be a part of this program and to be a part of this club. And I cannot wait to see what everybody gets to do. I feel like Dakota's about to burst out crying.
It just feels like surreal. Like we're graduating from the club and then this is just the end of a chapter. So it's like, dang, like I don't feel like we had enough time together, you know, especially that we didn't ever get to meet in person. So it's like, okay, like, you know, but we have the rest of our lives pretty much. Like when you get settled in with like post grad, like your career and everything, like you could finally, even though you're going to be busy with, you know, everything, but you're always going to have like us there. Like we're always going to be a group, even if it's for like a random things, like you want to get coffee next week, you know, like but I think like the journey has just been great. Like each semester has felt different, but it's only gotten better like every single time. Like the first semester it was just kind of like getting in the groove of things, like really solidifying like or building relationships in general with everybody. And then like the second semester, it was like, okay, cool, we're trying new things. Like we're more than acquaintances, we're actually like friends now. And now it's just like we're like a family, and not in the sense where it's like work families, like actual families, like, oh my god, we're related but not like blood related, you know. So it's like I'm just glad that I had joined the club, because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now.
I mean, after Monique and Dakota said what they said, I feel a little sad because it's ending. Like, I feel like I didn't like spend as much time as I should have, and then like as I wanted to, because I had like personal responsibilities. I'm a little sad. I'm actually more than sad. But other than that, I feel like I've grown. I felt always welcome, and then because I was like shy and I had like such a huge transformation in my life, like a total flip in career, like this club really showed me what it was like to be in the ad PR program, more than the ad PR program itself. Because when I got into the program, it was actually just remote, and it just, I think you guys were like my first friends in the entire school, because I switched.
I'm sorry.
No, but I switched over, and then and then it became remote. So like, you know how CCNY is. So yeah, I just I can't.
If one of you cries, I'm going to get so upset.
No,
I'm not gonna cry. I don't cry.
I'm gonna cry.
Stop! You're gonna make me cry if you don't.
I don't cry. Who cries?
Laptop's gonna die on me while we cry.
No, but this was great. I did take some notes, but like, you know,
Please
fuck
cut
it.
some of the parts.
Basically, be a good person. Enjoy the people you're with. If you're a leader, learn how to delegate, and like, don't be stupid. Do your job.
Don't be stupid.
Like, those are the notes. Those are the takeaways. This was the AAF podcast. Thank you for all you guys being here and stuff. Honey, please.
I'm getting chills.
Thank you guys. It was a wonderful podcast.
Thank you guys for tuning in with Where We Fit, a podcast celebrating the unique paths and voices of the marketing and communications industry. Brought to you by the CCNY AAF student chapter. Make sure to follow us on our Instagram accounts for all the latest updates at Where We Fit Pod and at AAF City College. We'll see you in the next episode.